Hi everyone. I wanted to come here and make sure that I mention that during this video, I do have a tendency to only mention trans women when I am aware of the fact that this whole thing affects both trans men and trans women. It so happens that in the news, it mostly talks about trans women being victims of violent crimes due to their trans status. But I do understand that both trans men and trans women are affected by the issues that I discuss in this video. So I wanted to make sure that I came on and mention that before the video. Thank you very much for listening to this little disclaimer, and on with the program. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode 26 of my kind of a podcast. I know I keep going on about the fact that I am now posting on TikTok, but like a lot of my Generation X peers, this quarantine has come with a lot of new habits, good or bad. It's up to you to decide. In my case, due to the nature of the algorithm on this app, I have been confronted with things that I might have never had seen elsewhere. And one of these things is the abomination that goes by the name Superstraight. If you are lucky enough not to know what I'm talking about, I'm going to break it down to you so you understand what's going to follow. Some idiot came up with this concept as a way to make his transphobia a little more palatable. The premise of this so-called new sexual orientation, it applies to people who are straight but actively exclude trans people from their potential dating pool. They are straight to the max, yo. So straight that a woman who wasn't assigned female at birth just does not qualify. Straighter than straight, the straightest of all. When I hear this kind of crap, it reminds me of turf rhetoric. It reminds me of white supremacists. It actually makes me wonder if the fact that the acronym for this new thing is being SS is purely coincidental. A lot of people have also jokingly mentioned that the color scheme that they chose for their new movement is very reminiscent of the Grindr app logo. But personally, it reminds me more of those hazard signs and danger signs. You will also find that in the animal kingdom, a lot of the time, animals who are orange and black tend to be the most dangerous or venomous ones. It is a warning to other animals that they shouldn't even try getting a bite out of them because this particular animal is particularly bad for you, toxic, if you will. I find these similarities a lot more appropriate than likening this movement to the gay community. These people are saying that a trans woman is basically just not a woman. And the mental gymnastics that are required to make this somehow not transphobic, it's way too much for me to even try. I have also seen a lot of conversations about disclosure and the fact that trans people would be required to disclose their trans status from the start. Or else if they engage sexually with a straight person and they find out later down the line, it would constitute a lie by omission. Some people even going as far as claiming that this would constitute some sort of sexual abuse or even sexual assault, likening it to pretending to be somebody you're not to obtain sexual favors. Some people also brought up this whole movement that happened a couple of years ago where men were pretending to put on a condom and then removing it in the middle of the act and finishing without. Except if you're not transphobic, you agree that trans women are women. And the fact that they are trans does not make them somebody other than the individual they presented themselves to be. So where's the lie? Unless you're transphobic, where is the lie? I think we can now put to rest that ludicrous idea that somehow this new sexual orientation would not be transphobic at its core. Now we need to talk about the issue of disclosure. When should a trans person tell somebody that they're interested in romantically that they are trans? Well, how long is a piece of string? We are aware of the fact that because of violent expressions of transphobia in the past, like in the recent past, many trans women have lost their lives after the wrong people were made aware of the fact that they were trans. Therefore, the right time for disclosure often depends on how safe it is to do so in many instances. Personally, I have a problem with the idea that every trans person needs to let every new person they meet know that they are trans. To me, it basically centers sexuality in the situation from the start. But hear me out, I'm going to blow your mind. What if being trans is not at the center of the life of the trans person? What if it is not the most important or the most relevant thing about them? What if it is none of anyone's concern what your preference is? Do you regard every new person you meet as a potential sexual partner? What if they have no interest in being romantically involved with you? What if you are not the center of their universe? It's crazy stuff, I know. On the topic of disclosure, by the way, there are many things that need to be discussed between two potential romantic or sexual partners. Your HIV status, for example. How many kids you have. Your diet choices. Your criminal record. That weird kink you have. The list goes on. Do you have your license? Who did you vote for the last election? Are you terminally ill? Are you homeless? Are you a victim of female genital mutilation? Do you have a piercing down there? What is the state of your mental health? Are you employed and salaried? What is your immigration status? What medication are you on? I swear I could go on forever with that list. On a very personal level, I have a sickle cell trait. It means that if I have a child with another person who has a sickle cell trait as well, we have 1 in 4 chances of having a child who has sickle cell disease. That is something I had to disclose when I became seriously involved with a partner. But if there is no intention on my part to have children with someone, my sickle cell status is of no interest to them, right? Doesn't the same apply to trans people? Why would they need to disclose anything if their intentions are not definitely to get involved with the person? And why should they rush about making that decision? Why is the reason for disclosure centered on the other person? Why should other people's transphobia be a prevalent motive at the center of this discussion? What if it takes a kiss and a grope for a trans person to realize that they are not interested in pursuing this relationship further? All of these rhetorical questions are just to say that the super straight people's feelings shouldn't be spared because they are born from transphobia. And I honestly do not believe we should be tiptoeing around the precious feelings of bigots. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed spending this little time with me. I hope I will see you again next time. We will talk about something completely different. Bye. Do you regard every new person you meet as a potential sexual partner?
My apologies. I don't understand.
I'm not talking to you, Google.